Welcome. Hello, everybody. I want to welcome you to Module 3, Unveiling Your Purpose or Unveiling Your True Desire. This is a really hot topic when it comes to going online and people searching, how do I find out my purpose? What am I here for? These are some of the main questions of human existence. And a lot of people, it is a continual turmoil that they're feeling, that they don't know their purpose or they don't know why they're here. And so first and foremost, I want you all just to take a deep breath and relax, because we can make a big deal out of something that isn't as big a deal as it needs to be. And we can, as we begin to relax, then we're able to kind of explore and open our mind to ask ourselves some questions and dig a little bit deeper to see, what is there for me, and release some of the pressure that we're putting ourselves on, being stressed about, I don't know my purpose, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life, I'm this old and I haven't figured it out. Don't worry about it. You're right where you're meant to be. Everything you've gone through is part of what is getting you to be the individual that you came here to be. It's part of the training ground and in this earth school. And you don't ever have to worry that you're doing it wrong or you're missing something. Everything is working out for your highest good. So let's start with that and just release some of that anxiety and stress around this topic. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come at this at a couple of different angles. All right, here we go. I love this quote. It's by Andy Shaw. His books, he wrote Creating a Bug-Free Mind and Using a Bug-Free Mind. These have helped me a lot, and I've drawn a lot of stuff from his work. And he says, no matter what you read, what you buy, what you get to who you get to train you, you will not lead the life you desire unless you answer this one core underlying issue. You don't have the life you desire simply because you do not know what you want. And just do a little bit of self-reflection and ask, do you fall into that demographic of not knowing what you want, or having maybe you have a few ideas, but there's some confusion there, and that's okay. A lot of people feel, that they're in the same boat, and you're not alone in that. Today, what we're going to go over is I'm actually going to take a very high perspective on terms of our purpose as humans in general. And this is a really great perspective that has helped me tremendously when I am needing to release anxiety and stress and pressure about getting stuff done. And then we're going to go over how to get clear on your purpose in this lifetime. So we'll go macro and then we'll go micro. And a lot of people face this issue as lack of clarity. It's very difficult to manifest something when you don't know what that thing is. So we do want to have courage and be specific and clear on what we want to be creating and what we want to be doing in this lifetime. And then we're going to get more clarity on what you really desire. So some of you might think you know what you want, but it's actually something that's given to you by somebody else. It's been, maybe your family said this is what you should do, or the education system or your culture, and it's actually not what you really want. And so we're going to look at that. And then it's time to make a decision, that power of decision. And then why aren't you making one? What's holding you back from saying, I'm all in on my purpose? So the problem is that what many of you might be feeling is that no matter what you've tried, you still don't have what you want. You feel frustrated about your goals rather than excited and expectant. In other words, you wouldn't bet on yourself and your ability to manifest. And there's doubt. There's a lot of doubt going on. And this would be one of the major reasons why you don't even get specific on what you want, and you don't actually basically pinpoint it and say, this is what I'm doing, this is what I want, is because of the doubt. You doubt that you can do it. You doubt that you're worthy of it. You doubt that it's possible. But when we begin to peel back a lot of this confusion based on doubt and fear and lack, you actually do know what you want. And that's what we're going to work through a little bit here today. I want to ask you a question. First off, have you tried a bunch of different things to make more money? Time after time, things don't work. I can raise my hand with that one. I've done a lot of that, and I'm going to show you in the next little bit what I've gone through. Do you find yourself engaging in that shiny object syndrome where you jump from one opportunity to another? Looking, is it going to this thing, then what am I going to do here? Would you say that you feel a lot of overwhelm in your life? Like there's never enough time to do everything. No matter how hard you work, you don't seem to get very far. By the way, at some point in my life, and for the majority of my life, would say I've answered yes to all of these things. Maybe you feel like all your time is spent doing stuff for other people, and your needs and desires come last. So I ask you a question. Do you actually know what you want? I keep asking you this question. Do you know what you want? I'm going to give you a little glimpse into where I was. I love this picture. I love all versions of myself. I used to be embarrassed by some versions of myself, and now I look at her and I just think she was doing awesome with what she knew how to do. And I'm very proud of what she was doing and going through. So this is where I was. I was involved in direct sales company, a Forex MLM, a crypto MLM, a travel MLM. I was working as an admin at a fitness gym. I was taking a course and trying to run a Shopify store, an Etsy store, and Facebook Marketplace, as well as investing in automated Amazon stores. I ran masterminds for free for my MLM teams. I did affiliating for multiple different people, including coaches and organizations and products. I was working as a coach for an organization called ACE, and I was running a rental business and more. So I am fully aware of this, like, let me do all the things and I don't know what I'm supposed to do and let me try this. And like, I was just going for whatever. I was doing all the stuff. I was going after everything that came across my plate. And I think that is a wonderful thing. And I want to encourage all of you. If you are in this place, at least you're trying. At least you're, giving it a go. Some people don't even try at all. They just stay with the status quo or living what other people have said to live. If you're one of these people that's trying all the things, good for you. I am glad that I am this way and that I did this, because eventually I found what was really my thing and what I was here for. I didn't know before. I didn't know early on in life. I wasn't one of those people that knew when I was a kid what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. It took me a lot of trial and error to kind of figure it out. So be encouraged. It doesn't have to just be like, this is my purpose. And if you're feeling like you're in that position where you're like, I don't really know what it is, try a bunch of stuff. Just get out there. Get your hands dirty in all the things and try different stuff and fail and make mistakes and meet people and fall apart and build it again, like all this kind of stuff. Just get out there and play. And then it's going to help that process of discovering what you really love to do. So thankfully, I did get clarity as I cleared my mental pond. So what we talked about last week, I took action towards my goals. Some of those goals, it was like I was doing what I thought I should do in that moment, and it led me so far. And then that came to an end and I went in another direction. It was like this continual thing. Again, I don't want to paint this picture that's just this perfect, like everything just totally just makes complete sense and all the steps and everything's lined out exactly how you need to know. No, it is a lot of just fake it till you make it, winging it, trust in the good Lord, whatever phrase you want to use, and just moving forward. I invested in myself. I worked with a lot of healers. I did a lot of healing on myself and working on limiting beliefs. By all means, am I complete in all of this? Definitely not. But I did quite intense work on myself for a good period of time in order to release a lot of the dead fish in my mental pond. And I worked on creating a new self-image. And I want to emphasize here, this wasn't creating myself into something I was not. It was getting more in touch with who I really am and understanding that self-image and then aligning more with it. And then I made a decision on what I really wanted. And I'm happy to say that I love this. What I'm doing, I love it. And if you'd ask, what would you do for free? I'm doing this for free because I love it so much. And this is what I feel I'm here to do, to raise the vibration of the world one person at a time. But again, I didn't know that even a few years ago. I didn't have that figured out. So I share this with you and share a bit of my own experience so that you can be encouraged no matter where you are on the journey. Maybe some of you know exactly what you want and you're just like, I just want more of it and I want to get better at creating more of it. And that's beautiful. But we're all in different parts in the journey. So the steps again, first learning what you truly desire in your soul purpose. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Then you're going to make a decision that you're doing it. We're going to say, yes, I'm going for it. No more doubts and fears and holding back. Jump right in. And then getting clear on that desire in all its glorious detail and focusing on it. We spend time like satiating ourselves with the vision and the dream of that desire fulfilled, of those goals fulfilled and dreams. And then we use powerful strategies to manifest it. So we know what we want, we align with what we want, and we support ourselves in that alignment and enjoy the unfolding of it as we take inspired action towards it. And it's not a super complicated thing, but maybe not necessarily the easiest thing, because there's a lot that goes into play with the process. Now, what I want to do for you is we're going to take a macro look, or like a big picture look on your purpose. And this might, some people's belief systems might not align with this, and that's totally okay. What I always encourage people to do whenever you're listening to something, maybe you're not going to agree with everything, but there's always gold nuggets within something, and you can harvest the good, as Bob Proctor said, and forget the rest. So for me, this was something that just felt so good when I became aware of this and learned this information. It just felt like truth. So I would encourage you, as you listen, that you instinctively know when something feels true. It feels like, yes, this is truth. This feels like almost even like I'm remembering this information. Then pay attention to that. But like I said, if this doesn't align with your belief system, totally okay. And still there's going to be a lot of, you can look at this, because what I'm going to be talking about is the soul's journey over many lifetimes. So if you don't believe in that, in reincarnation, soul's journey, try and think about it just like maybe your growth process in this lifetime. The reason that I want to go over this, and like, you're like, why? This is a manifestation course. Why are we talking about the soul's journey? Why are we talking about the process that we are all going through? The reason is, remember, when it comes down to how you're creating, it has everything to do with your vibration. Who are you? What are you feeling? What is that signal that you're putting out? So I really see a lot of value in bringing awareness and information around how things work, that then give us the ability in this present moment to relax and to find peace and to marvel at the amazingness of existence. And it's like, when you take that higher perspective, things that might stress you out typically, it kind of becomes irrelevant again. And that's your ability to be in a vibration of peace and love and joy in this present moment. And these bigger perspectives help us do that. This is ultimately going to help you shifting your vibration. So here we go. I love this picture. We all come from source. Some people use the word God, some people call it source energy, infinite intelligence, whatever. This beginning of everything, source energy. And source energy, if all there is light, you wouldn't understand what light is. You need darkness to know what light is. You need sadness to know what joy is. We need the polarity, we need the duality in order to understand a thing. You can only understand a thing until it's compared to what it is not. So source wanted to experience itself and know itself. And so source went out into all the different expressions, into planets, into beings, into souls, into all these things. This picture does a decent job of somewhat explaining how we think, we're these separate little individual people, but essentially we are all source energy, experiencing itself through these different perceptions. But because kind of above the surface, it looks like, oh, I'm by myself, I'm an individual, because we don't have the awareness or understanding that we're actually all one of the same thing. We're an extension of source. And humanity, human beings, and planet Earth are in an ongoing process of ascending through 7 levels of density consciousness. These are all just the expression and experience of source consciousness to know itself from different perspectives. So this is what I'm going to go through, is going to explain your purpose. We all have this same purpose. It's to experience and learn and bring that information back to source. And we're essentially ascending through these levels, sort of like grades in school. And these different levels were, some of us, I'm going to go through them briefly and explain them all, and kind of where we're at as a civilization and planet, and that we're really just progressing through these levels. And the purpose that we have is really just to keep progressing, keep moving up the levels, up the grades, so to speak. So the concept of density, this is in the raw material. So this is a channeled text by Carla Ruckert. And it refers, it was, if you're not familiar with channeling, it is, so like Abraham Hicks is a channeler, the Seth books, if you've heard of those, Bashar is another one. These are people that are like basically going into a state of consciousness where they're able to like get information and sort of translate it, and from a higher density being, or some people think it's like an alien or something like that, but it's just someone of a being of a higher level of consciousness, and give us information. And so these are all these books called the Law of One. It's the raw material. And so this is where this information is coming from. And in this book, Ra explains the different levels of consciousness or existence in the universe. And these densities are said to represent various stages of spiritual evolution and growth. And so I'm just going to give a short summary of those 7 levels, and you can begin to understand how this is all working. Again, we're giving the big picture on purpose. So the 7 densities are, so we start with the first. So this, again, in each density is correlated to a chakra in our system. You are a mini universe. This is all a hologram, and in every piece of the hologram is the information for the whole hologram. And so in every cell, everything has the information of everything. And we see this concept of the densities of universe and existence is actually the same that lines up with the chakras. 7, the 7 notes of an octave. 7 is a very important number. And interestingly, on the octave of a piano, you'll have, or any octave of any instrument, you have the 7 notes, and then the 8th note is the first note of the next octave. And this is, again, what we're looking here, this first density to 7th density that we're going through right now is an octave. And then the 8th density will be the first density of the next octave. It just keeps going on for infinity. So we're not in any kind of hurry to get something done. We've been doing this for millions of years, and we're going to keep doing it on for forever. So again, the underwear on the floor is not a big deal, because you got millions of more lives to be living. And so you might as well just let that one go. First density is correlated with the root chakra. This density is the most basic form of consciousness. So this includes things like wind, rocks, this sort of thing. This is the first density. It's associated with elements and minerals. Entities at this level are not yet individualized, but exist in a unified state of existence. So not individualized, okay? Second density, this is correlated with the sacral chakra. This level is associated with the growth of biological life. It includes plants and animals, which exhibit rudimentary forms of awareness and consciousness. Entities at this stage are still primarily focused on survival and reproduction. Third density is correlated with the solar plexus. Humans, is said to be in this density. It is characterized by self-awareness, free will, and the ability to make choices, use logic, rationale, critical thinking, to create concepts and ideas, meanings, and beliefs. This density is a pivotal point for spiritual growth, as individuals begin to seek deeper understanding and meaning in life. In third density consciousness, we forget we are part of source consciousness and experience ourselves as individual and separate. Remember the picture, we think we're individual and separate. We've forgotten that we're one with all that is, that we are source energy. So polarity, duality, and contrast are experienced as ways of understanding separateness and individuality in relation to other things. Okay, so everybody now listen, if you've been distracted because you're like, I don't care about any of this. The purpose of third density consciousness, so the purpose of where the majority of humanity is at right now, is to choose either a path of service to self or a path of service to others. This is what is happening in this part of our growth process. In third density, where most people are at, you're deciding, am I going to choose a path in service to others, or am I going to choose a path in service to self? And then what's going to happen is when you make that choice, and it might take you a few hundred lifetimes to figure that out and make that decision, or could be less, but ultimately that's what you're working on and figuring out. And then when you make that choice, that's the path that you're going to take as you go up through the following densities. And this is a very fascinating topic. It's very interesting. We don't have time to go into it all now, but I'd love to geek out on that at another time. But we can. And neither path is good or bad. So we tend to think like, oh, service to self, that's bad. And it is categorized as the negative path. Service to self is the positive path, but that doesn't mean negative doesn't mean bad. Just the way that there's on a battery, there's a positive side and a negative side. It's just a difference of polarity. The service to self path is more difficult. It takes extreme amount of polarity to be able to evolve. An example of some individuals that have chosen this path that are, say, even possibly fourth density negative polarity souls would be some of these leaders that have done like incredible destruction to humanity in service of self. But again, I know it's hard for us to wrap our minds around it. It's not negative, it's not bad, it's a polarity. And so just to kind of summarize this, the density 1 sleeps in the rock, density 2 dreams in animals, and density 3 awakens in the human. Density 3 is the level of density consciousness that most of humanity currently exists in. We do have some fourth density beings, yes, humans, and an example of a fourth density being was Jesus. We as a planet, actually, the little needle shifted to the beginning of fourth density time period in 2012. All the craziness that's been going on for the last however many years. This is actually something very exciting, something to be excited about. Don't be discouraged. The old systems of third density are crumbling. They're being brought to the surface. It's being detoxed out of the planet. Even the heating up of the planet, I look at it as like a fever. What's a fever for? To kill viruses in the body. It's one of the things I was like, whenever I have a fever, or my kids have a fever, I don't give us medicine to reduce the fever. That fever is good. It kills off things that no longer serve us. So the planet's heating up as well. We are having a fever at this point, and all this stuff is being released because this is the process we have made it in terms of over many, many years. There's been a few failures of trying to get us into a fourth density timeline. And here we are, we've made it. And it's obviously going to take many, many, many years for the fullness of that to be manifest, but we are in the beginning stages of that. And you can look at us in like the kindergarten stage of this journey of going through these levels. I hope that's exciting, and it's helping to be like, oh, okay. And first off, as a third density being, give yourself a pat on the back. Like, think about everything you've been through to get here, all these levels that you evolved through, not to mention how the hundreds of human lives you've been through to get to the point where you're actually on a call like this, beginning to understand this kind of information and have this awareness. If you're interested in meditation, if you're interested in like manifestation, if you're interested in spirituality, and like this is not your first time around the block. You've done this a few times. And so be excited in your growth and where you're at and the journey that you're on, and understand the purpose. This bigger arching purpose is just to continually keep evolving. And it's not so rigid that am I supposed to be a doctor? Am I supposed to be, a cook? Am I supposed to be a healer? Like, we'll look at those things, but take a bigger perspective and picture of it, and think about, who am I being in the moment? What am I learning? My lessons? Am I growing and expanding? And that's your purpose. We are human beings, not human doings. So just settle and rest in that. And you can't help it. You can't help but move forward. It's built into you. And then so kind of those initial first three, like the first to third density, we get it. It's not new information because we've evolved through it and we see it. We can look outside, we can see the plants and the animals and the dogs and everything. Fourth density and beyond is what we don't know so much about, because most people haven't experienced that or understand what it is. So in the raw material, we get more of an idea. Ra, I believe, is sixth density being, and so is able to kind of, it's not so like rigid and fixed as this, but it's kind of a way to sort of conceptualize it so our human brains can kind of understand it a little bit. So then we have fourth density. This is correlated with the heart chakra. And this is about love and understanding. Entities in this density experience a greater understanding of love and compassion. The focus shifts from self-centeredness to the well-being of groups and communities. An example, like I said before, of this is Jesus. Fifth density is correlated with the throat chakra. This is about light and wisdom. At this level, entities are more spiritually advanced and possess a higher degree of unity and oneness. They seek to serve others and work towards collective enlightenment. Their physical bodies become less dense and communication may be more telepathic. An example of this is Buddha. And this has been even documented, and we've have some glimpses of these beings who can translocate, who, can levitate, can do these different things. And we begin to understand that there is something beyond this solid body that we think that this is all there is. And then we have sixth density, which is correlated with the third eye. And this is about unity and balance. Entities in this density are deeply spiritual and focused on wisdom and balance. They are often involved in healing and guiding others. The distinction between physical and non-physical realms becomes less pronounced, and beings can manifest in various forms. Interestingly enough, your higher self is sixth density version of you. Yes, your higher self is you from the future, but remember, everything's happening all at once, and has all the information and knows the whole journey and where you're headed and all the things that your path. It's you from the future. So there is an emphasis in this density on balancing love and wisdom's acts of consciousness. So in fourth density, we're gonna experience, much more of the side of love, even to the point where it's too much that you would, sacrifice yourself and things like this in order to the service of others. Then sixth density, or fifth density, we have the wisdom, which this again we've seen this in some leaders who are in this density, who it's quite can be somewhat selfish and lacks empathy. So even like, just being on their own and meditating in a mountain or whatever, or utilizing others in order for the gaining of knowledge and information. So then in the sixth density, we see a balance of that. So we balance out the love with the wisdom. And then that's what's happening there. And then we have the seventh density, which is correlated with the crown chakra. This is the final density in the raw materials model. And entities at this level are almost entirely pure consciousness. They exist in a state of complete unity and are often involved in cosmic processes of creation and transformation. All personal memory identity is absorbed into the all. So again, I'm sharing this with you to give you this bigger picture of purpose, the evolution, leveling up in level of consciousness, essentially raising your vibration and moving through these levels, learning our lessons as we go, gathering information to bring back to source. We're evolving the same way that we go through school. And there is a natural desire to continue to progress. We all feel it, right? That's why you're on this call. You're like, I want to learn more. I want to grow. I want to get better. I want to make more money. I want to be healthier. There's this pull, this innate desire that all of us have to continue progressing is in everything we do. And it's the pull from the creator. And it's compelling us to continue to evolve and to grow and eventually merging back with source. And so again, in third density here, you are in a consciousness kindergarten, so to speak. You're deciding what polarity you will choose, and then you're going to spend the rest of your soul's evolution processing up the densities of that polarity. Whether you choose service to others or service to self, again, it's neither wrong or right. It's totally up to you. And then again, I'm bringing you this higher perspective so you can release the pressure of the day-to-day drama stresses that you may be currently immersed in. Again, zooming out. It helps us in the moment to just be like, it dissolves a lot of the tensions that we might be experiencing. This helps you detach from the physical and stop taking cues from it. This is a cycle that a lot of people are stuck in, that you're looking at that outside reality in order to dictate how you feel. Therefore, you just keep cycling the same thing over again. So we need to develop that ability to let go of what's happening out there that seems so real, so that we can flip the switch and choose our emotional vibrational state so that we are the creator, and then what's out there will reflect what's going on within here. So these different perspectives, this information and awareness helps you in that process to begin to break that cycle of just rinse and repeat. This is all scary, like doom and gloom, blah, 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 and now I feel terrible all the time and I'm scared and fearful and everything's going wrong and all that kind of stuff. You got to break that cycle. So a perspective like this, I hope, would help you to be like, okay, this is just one little blip on the huge scope of things. And it's not such as big a deal as I'm making it out to be. And I can be present and just actually enjoy this moment. I can smell a flower, and it's just like an amazing, I'm here just to experience. I don't have to actually do anything. I'm here to be, I'm here to experience. And I can't help but move forward. It brings a lot of peace and understanding of the self. Now that we've done this micro look on purpose, at least you know that. If nothing else, you just know it's about evolving through these densities. This is my purpose. This is what I'm doing. Then how do we take that and actually bring it into this now moment? Because we are in this lifetime. You are here right now with your family, with this life experience. And I love going up in the cosmos and looking at these big perspectives and concepts and all that kind of stuff. You don't really stay there, right? Like, you could just go and just like sit in the mountains and meditate and pitch a tent by the river for the rest of your life. It's an option. But Jesus himself said, be in the world and but not of the world. And so we have this understanding and awareness and information, but then we actually live in this present moment. And we have the experiences of the day-to-day life. What we're really doing is we're beginning to shift our perspective on what we're going through. But nevertheless, we are going through it. We are here having a human experience on planet Earth. So what we're going to do is we're going to think, okay, so now that I understand the bigger picture, if I look at myself in this lifetime, what is my purpose here now? Let's go micro on your purpose. The present moment, you, where you're at, your current circumstance. First and foremost, as we look at this lifetime as its own segment, its own dream, its own play, game, whatever word you want to use. First and foremost, if you are at a stage where you don't know what your purpose is, or you don't know what you want, just first and foremost, set the intention to know it. Like, I want to know what my purpose is. I want to know why I'm here. I want to know my mission. And by simply setting the intention, now things are going to come across your path, your teachers, information, opportunities for you to experiment, for you to try, for you to be, oh, that sounds really interesting to me, that will lead you in the path of discovering your purpose. So even right now, just take a moment and be like, I want to know my purpose. I want clarity on my path. I want clarity on what I want, on what I'm here to do, something to follow my passion and just to really live a life that I loved. Just set that intention now. Then you must continually let go of that which is not you. That's why we do the clearing the mental pond and the shadow work, because that core you, the soul you, the spirit you, it's perfect. It has everything it needs. It lacks nothing. If you operated from that state, there'd be no doubt, there'd be no fear. You'd know exactly every next step that you needed to take. You'd be in complete flow and joyfully doing whatever you wanted to do. The reason we're not experiencing that state is because of all the shit, of all the clutter, of all the programming, of all the doubts and limiting beliefs and the stuff that culture gave you and church gave you and school gave you and mom gave you and all these things gave you that you're holding on that are not you. These are not you. So clearing that out, doing the work to clear that out, is going to make it a lot easier for you to know yourself. You're covered in all this gunk that isn't you, and you look in the mirror and you can't even see you because there's all this other stuff in the way. So continually clear, let it go. Use every opportunity to release that which is not you. This includes especially what other people think. This is a huge one for a lot of people. The sooner you can get over caring what people think about you, the better. Just go and totally mess up, like make a disaster of everything. And then you'll see and like all the people can laugh at you and say, oh, look at you, what a fool, all this kind of stuff. And you will survive and you'll be fine. I think the sooner you ruin your reputation, the better. And then you don't have to be so concerned what everybody thinks about you, because this holds you back so much. You will do things and you will say things and you will be things that aren't authentic because of this one. And this would be one of the major ones that would keep you running the cycle of doing stuff that isn't your purpose, that isn't in alignment with who you are. So we really want to let go of that. We need to let go of the fears and the regrets, the limited thinking, the worry, the doubt. This stuff all has to go. We have to, and continually as it comes up, we let it go. We let it go. And to the point where it starts to begin to get easier. When you want to do something, you actually just do it because you want to. There's not this whole big mess of like, what are they going to think of me? What if I fail? What if it doesn't work? What about money? What about my kids? And all this chitter chatter that's going all the time. That will, over time, it will fade, and it will be so much easier for you to make clear decisions. Another thing that you can do in working through figuring out what your purpose is use some permission slips. And this is a terminology I got from Bashar. It's things that sometimes we need. Sometimes we're still not fully struggling to believe in ourselves 100% and to know thyself. And so we want to sort of look to something outside of ourselves for a little bit of help. And that's okay. That's okay. If I've used many of these things and they've helped me tremendously. And I think a lot of us on the journey use these things to help us discover ourselves and understand ourselves and know more about ourselves and understand our purpose. These permission slips could be things like numerology, astrology, human design, soul readings, etc. I've done all of these. I'll just pick out astrology here. You can go to, if you Google Kamei astrology birth chart, and you click on the first thing that comes up on Google, and you're going to enter in your name and your birth date and your time of birth and location, and then it's going to auto-generate a whole report on you, telling you where all your astrological placements are and what that means. Again, it's auto-generated. It's not going to be exactly 100% accurate, but a lot of it is quite accurate. You'd be amazed. And it's going to tell you about yourself. But one of the things I would point out on there is look for where your north node is. Your north node tells you what you came into this lifetime to master. And the north node, so for me, my north node is in Taurus, and the astrological signs are in a circle. So just Google the astrological signs. You can see the pattern that they're in. And then the opposite of Taurus on the circle is Scorpio. So Scorpio is my south node, and that's what I've mastered in previous lifetimes. And what we find is if we stay in the tendencies of our south node, we stagnate. And what we're wanting to do is develop into our north node. And so that, again, is just one example of something you can do to help you unpack a little bit more about what you came here to learn, what the purpose was. I had a soul reading done by Bob Wackich, highly recommend it. And he told me, the games I came to play in this lifetime, what my, soul color was and soul family was, all these things just like, it grew my confidence in what I was doing. Every time I did any of this kind of stuff, it confirmed my purpose here. It confirmed my talents and what I'm good at, what my strengths are. A lot of these readings will tell you what you're really good at that you might not even realize you are. And so I encourage you to do things like this. And then remember, the higher self is guiding you. Another analogy that Bashar uses, like your higher self is at the top of the mountain, and in this human experience, you're in the valley. Your higher self can see, has a bird's eye view of where the rivers are and the boulders and everything. And you can't really see, you just can only see a little bit in front of you. And the higher self is giving you guidance. Even if it might not make sense to you in the moment, you might think like, wow, it looks easier over there. But the higher self is telling you to go this way. And you're thinking, but that doesn't make sense. From my perspective, this looks like the better way. But what you don't see that your higher self sees is there's a little bit down the path, there's a river that's impossible to cross. So there isn't that element of trust. And what is the language that the higher self uses for that guidance? It's passion. And this is the ridiculous thing, is we shove down what we're passionate about and we put it over here. It's like, well, that's just maybe like a hobby or something that I do on the side or whatever, or we don't do it at all. We're like, no, I don't have time for that. Or it's like maybe a little bit of a reward. Maybe we let ourselves do it after we get all our other work done. Things like this. If you would just surrender, follow your passion, what would you love? What gets you excited? What is the thing that you're like, oh, this is just so good and so yummy? Listen to it. Please listen. And that's going to guide you exactly where you need to go. And it's going to show you. So your passion is a huge signal of your purpose. It doesn't have to make sense. I remember these reels coming up on my Instagram of a man cooking. He was making reels and he was cooking on miniature cookware, like a frying pan that was like this big. He was actually making a little mini egg and little mini bacon on a little plate. Does this make sense in any way? Would it make sense? And my passion is to cook on miniature frying pans and plates and stuff. No. But he had hundreds of thousands of followers that were all fascinated with what he was doing, and then he was been making money doing this thing. So don't bother with it if it's, I don't think I can make money doing it. I don't think it makes sense. Who is going to care about this? You got to let all that go. It doesn't got to make sense. Follow your passion. And then step into the unknown. That's the thing. You're not going to have it all figured out. You're not going to have all the answers. Our brain is not designed to know everything. Our brains don't work that way. Unfortunately, you can't know all the details. It's impossible. And this is the thing that stops most people. Because you don't know every step of the journey, you don't take the first step. You got to be willing to be like, I feel in this moment, I need to just do this thing and just do it with faith, having no clue where it's going to lead you and how it plays into the bigger picture. And this is the game that's the flow state where you're just listening to that nudging that's happening for you. And it's ultimately that higher self giving you the guidance that has the bird's eye view. But you got to trust it. You got to trust that it's like, okay, this doesn't make sense to me, but I'm following it. I'm listening to that. And this can be really scary for some people because you want every little detail and you got to let that go. So I want to go dive in a little bit deeper because some of you might even feel like, I don't even know what I'm passionate about. So I want to go micro into your passion. We're going to zero in on that piece a little bit more in case you're feeling like, I actually don't even know what I want. I don't feel passionate about anything. This is coming from a few different places. So think back to your childhood and maybe you were super excited and passionate about being a ballerina or becoming an astronaut or something like that. And, as kids, we're just imagining, we're excited about all this stuff, we're dreaming, we're not limited. And then along come these adults that are like, well, you're never going to do that. You're not smart enough to do that. Get your head out of the clouds. Stop daydreaming. All this kind of stuff. And they shut down the kids. And it can even be in ways where, think of like my daughter and she coming up and she has a dandelion and says, here in Canada, dandelion is considered a weed and people are spraying it all the time to try and get rid of it. And it's like, it's everywhere and it's not exciting and people even think it's ugly. I think they're beautiful. And I drink dandelion tea every morning because it's super good for you. It detoxes your body. It's actually very healing. My little daughter comes up with like the dandelion with all of the seeds. In that moment, I can ignore her and be like, oh, whatever, it's just a dandelion. Or in that moment, I could be like, wow, because she's like, mommy, look at it. And she blows it. She's like, wow, she's so excited. There's an excitement about life. There's a thrill. There's an enthusiasm. There's a passion. And as a parent, I can join her in that excitement and foster her and encourage that enthusiasm, or I can be like, oh, it's dandelion. Don't blow that. You're going to create more dandelions. These little small things that happen to us as kids begin to shut down our dreaming, begin to shut down our wonderment, our following of our passion. We can get punished for yelling loudly and playing and having fun. And so we begin to really lose touch with following those desires of this is what I want. This is which feels good to me. And we get programmed into this is what you should do. This is what is proper. And this is how you should behave. And so you might be one of those people. Most people are like this. Parents with all their good intentions give love usually for what is they perceive as good behavior and siphon off love for what is considered as bad behavior. And so we are conditioned to be like, I need to do what is wanted by other people so that I am loved. And again, so we start to just really shut down listening to what I would really love to do. And we take our cues from what we're being told by the education system, by our government, by our culture. Just get a job, buy the house, get the car, and pay the bills. So you can be very disconnected and quite out of practice for actually knowing what it is that you want. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to start practicing. We're going to have to get reunited with that inner child, with that part of ourself that dreams and plays and believes in the impossible and is excited at the beauty of creation and all this kind of stuff. And we can do that with intention. And then again, it comes with clearing the mental pond and letting go of those things that are not ourselves. And we'll see it starts to awaken in us again. And we start to be like, you know what? I would love to get a canoe and do a 3-day canoe trip. I would love to start painting. I would love to learn an instrument. I would love to take dance class. I would love to shave my head and raise money for cancer. Like whatever it is for you, you'll start listening to that voice that's like, this is what I want. So don't fret if you're feeling like, oh, I don't even know at all what I'm passionate about. I'm going to ask some questions that might help you a little bit in the process, at least get the wheels turning a bit. Ask yourself this question. And again, with the recording, you can just pause this at any time and actually take some time to write this out and do some deeper reflection on this, because I'm going to go through it fairly quickly now. But ask yourself these questions. What do I love to do? And I want to remind you, I want you to get out the voice that says you can't make money doing that. I want you to get out the voice that nobody's going to care about that. All of that kind of stuff. Just put it aside. You can pick it up later. Please just set it aside and try your very best to think clearly and honestly. I don't care if it doesn't make sense. If what you love to do is cook on little tiny frying pans, then write it down. If what you love to do is braid yarn into bracelets or something, like, I don't care what it is, whatever you love, write it down. What energizes you? What are those things that you do that just like you can feel, you just like, oh, like I feel so good. So for me, I could be like super tired, like blah blah blah, feeling meh. And if I get on and do something like this and I teach something, my energy goes through the roof and I could go run a marathon after this call is over. This is what energizes me. This is why I'm doing it. That's why I love it. And we all are also very fully aware of all the stuff that drains our energy. It's a sign. It's a sign for you. Do less of those things if doing them at all, including being around these people. This is your guidance. Same with passion, things that give you energy. This is showing you your purpose, why you're here. If everyone else had what they wanted and needed, what would I want for me? Many people are in this thing of like doing so much just for everybody else that there's not even a moment to think about what you want for yourself. If it comes up for you that you think, oh, I'm being selfish, if, I'm putting my needs first, or I'm like not helping everybody else with their stuff, I'll tell you right now, if you are aligned and following your purpose, you're going to help way more people than if you are out of alignment because you're helping 2 or 3. It's not selfish to put your needs and dreams and desires and passions first. If I had limitless money, what would I buy, do, experience? We so often get hung up on money, and it's very difficult for a lot of people to get over. Money is a deciding factor for you on what you do. The first question that you ask when someone offers you to do something, say someone's like, let's go on this trip to Mexico. The first question you ask isn't, do I want to go? No, the first question you ask is, how much is it? So you make your decisions based on money. Money will show up. You got it backwards. If you're making decisions based on money, you're not going to do any of the things that you really want to and are meant to do. And then you don't even make the decision to do them. If you would actually just ask yourself, do I want to do this? And then you say yes, and you're like, I'm doing this, the money will show up. It's just such a tragedy that we limit ourselves because of money. What would I do even if I didn't get paid? Again, could be chopping wood. My brother loves to chop wood. He just chops wood all the time, has like 20 some chainsaws. Nobody's paying him to do it. He just loves to do it. He loves to be out in nature doing this. We all have our things that we just it's nice. We like it. We do it. Write that down. What makes me laugh? What are things that light you up, bring you joy? What are natural gifts that you have? Don't overlook things because it's just normal to you. If there's things that we just naturally do that are easy for us, we won't necessarily see it as a gift because it's just normal. So you want to make sure you're really doing your due diligence on this one. And you might need to ask someone else, being like, what do you think my gifts are? And get another perspective. An example of this, I think about my mom. So she just grew up in a family that bakes and cooks and everything like that. And she's always it's just been her normal thing to like bake bread and pies and butter tarts and all kinds of stuff. And it tastes amazing. Like people are always so like, my mom's baking is always so good. Initially, if I asked her like, what are your gifts? It wouldn't occur to her that was a gift to her because it's just so normal to her. And she'd be like, I don't know. I don't think I have any gifts. But for some people, they try and make a pie and it tastes like, I don't know. I've tasted some bad pies in my time. And some people can make pie, some people cannot make pie. And I was spoiled because my mom is so good at making pie. So to some, mom's ability to make this incredible pie with like super flaky crust and all this kind of stuff, that's a gift. There's something about the ability to do that. And there's people that would pay to learn how to do that. but because it was regular for her and normal for her, she didn't see it as a gift. So make sure you look at yourself and look at everything and things that are mundane to you they can actually be gifts. And also, what knowledge do you already possess? This is really good and helpful too. It can just shed some light, because a lot of times we research and study and learn things that we're interested in. And again, some of these things could be just very much normal knowledge to us that we just take for granted, but just write it down. So just answer all these questions and sort of get a picture. And then what you can do is you can see some patterns. You can see patterns. I'm like, oh, I'm really passionate about this and it energizes me and I love to do it. And I have experience in it. And I have knowledge about it. So you can start seeing this. And if you find like you have a hard time like answering some of these questions, I would say now's the time to start trying some stuff. Just get out there and try some different things, explore, put yourself in new situations. And then you're going to start to find out more and more things that you're passionate about, that you're naturally good at, and that you love. I do have this guided visualization for you. So if you go to megankamei.com/free guided visualization, it is also going to help you. It's especially designed to bring you into a state, into a deeper level of consciousness, and go into a visualization where you're seeing yourself in the moment where you have what you desire, where you're living your ideal life. And this is, when we get into the state, we're able to sort of peel back all the limits on our thinking and all of the opinions of others and all that kind of stuff. And then see ourselves like, man, like this would just be perfect. This is what I would love. And you can start to see, oh, this is my desire. This is my dream. This is what I feel drawn to. And then that sheds more and more light for you on your purpose. So go here, download this. We're not going to go through it now, but you can pause the video and do this visualization. It's an audio. And then after you're done, go through and answer these questions. So you're going to ask yourself, what did you see in your visualization? Where were you living? Who were you with? What was your level of wealth? For example, how much money was in the bank? How were you helping or serving others? What did you look like? What were you being recognized for? These are all really great questions to begin looking at the different angles of what we're doing. It's a future memory. So you're looking into the future and then you're remembering what it's like. And it helps get more clarity on your purpose and what you're here for and what you really want to do. And I'm going to ask you one last question. I read this question in a book and I just started crying, and it helped me as well understand myself more and what I really want to do. And this is the question. Imagine it's your funeral and your soul is looking down and observing what's going on. You can hear everything. What are people saying about you, and what are you remembered for? Most people aren't going to care if they're remembered for showing up to work on time every day. There's going to be things like you want to be remembered for your love and compassion. You might want to be remembered for your contribution to feeding the poor, or to training coaches to succeed in their businesses, or to inspire people to be the greatest versions of themselves. Like, think about, what would I love to be remembered for? And that question alone could be the one that helps you the most out of everything that I've gone over today, and really shed a light on, this is why I'm here. This is what my purpose is. And this is what I want to be doing with my time. This is what I want to trade my life for. Here's just a little extra boost for you to push things a little bit further. I want you to answer, we're going to define your purpose so we can get it nice and concise. Kind of when we put pen to paper and we write things out, again, this isn't set in stone, but it's a starting point. You can write it out, and then you can adjust as you need. So we're going to go through and we're going to answer these questions. First one is, who are you? So that's super easy. You can just use your name. When I first was asked this question, I'm like, depending on who's asking the question, they're looking for a different answer. And so I'm like, do I answer, I am a spirit having a physical experience? Do I answer with my name? So in this situation, you can answer with your name. What do you do? Write this from the perspective of after you've done the visualization and you're living your ideal life, the money, what the service you're providing, the clients or the people that you're serving or whatever, from there, not from maybe right now you're a lawyer and you hate your job and it's totally unfulfilling, you don't want to be doing it, and you're super passionate about cars or something, and you love remodeling cars, and that's your passion. And your dream and ideal thing would be able to remodel cars and go to car shows, and maybe you want to do a YouTube channel on it, and you have this whole thing which you'd love to do. So you would write this from that perspective of I remodel cars. Okay. Number 3, who do you do it for? Who are the people that you're serving with the service that you're providing? And those people that you're doing it for, what do they want or need? So what are they looking for? And then how do they change as a result? So you're going to answer all those questions. Take a bit of time to look at that. And then you're going to form it into a statement. You're going to put obviously your name in the first one. And then what you do is going to go in the second line. Who you do it for is going to go in this third line. What do they want or need is going to go here. And then how they change the result is going to go here. And now you have your purpose statement. Bada boom, bada bing. Yay. So you might need to go over this a few times. You might need to go back and listen to this again. You might want to spend some time on those different questions. You might want to do that visualization every day for a month and just refine and get more and more clarity and more detail and depth into that life that you would truly love to live. You're going to have to continually set aside the negative voice in your head, the fears and the doubts of whether you can do it. If you knew you wouldn't fail, what would you be doing? A lot of you know what you want. It's just that you won't let yourself want it because you're afraid you can't do it. Or you're afraid you're not good enough. Or you're afraid you're going to lose love by doing it. You're going to be rejected by your family and friends. You got to set all of that aside. You got to get real with yourself. It's really good to get out in nature and get somewhere quiet, be silent, and then ask these kinds of questions and really, really listen to that inner you, the authentic you, and you will get your answers. I promise you. Then you got to make a decision. The definition of decision is a judgment, conclusion, or resolution reached or given, or verdict, the act of making up one's mind, firmness of purpose or character, determination. Decision comes from the Latin word decisio, which means a cutting off or to cut off. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's like, okay, I know this is what I love to do. I am passionate about this thing. You do need to make the decision that you're doing it. Because as long as it just stays as an option and and I get it, it takes courage. You have the job and there's some sense of security in this job or this lifestyle that you're living or the partner that you're with, whatever. And you think that, okay, for me to do what I'm passionate about, I'm going to have to let this go and give it up. Remember that bigger perspective. Is it really a big deal if you don't work at your job? Is it really a big deal if you move to a different city? If in this moment it brings you so much joy and excitement and aliveness, does it really matter? In the big scheme of things, these little things that we are afraid of, you're going to see that there are molehills that you've been making into mountains. And you can do anything. You can pick up right now and move to a new city and do a new thing and hold yourself with respect and dignity and confidence, and you can just do it right now. It's just in your mind that you think you can't. So make the decision and just go for it. Start walking in that direction. Even if it's like, okay, I know my purpose. I really, really want to help people. I want to be a healer. And currently you're working, I think of one woman comes to mind, she's managing hotels and she would love to be a healer. And she's working long hours at the hotel and stuff like this. Because of fear, she doesn't take any action towards what she's truly passionate about and even her natural giftings. But even if we would do a little bit each day, even if or a little bit each week, maybe take a course, maybe start posting on your social media, maybe just a little bit. Even if you did a little bit towards your purpose every day, think about where you'd be in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years. I was listening to Dolores Cannon today. That woman written however many books, impacting how many lives, speaking all over the world. And she said something that I didn't know. And she had said, initially her husband, he was in a wheelchair and she had children and stuff like this. And she's like, I had to deal with all of that. My journey with this didn't start till after that was over. And that was like a 25-year period of dealing with handling her husband's problems and all this kind of thing. Just because it's not everything all the time right now in this moment doesn't mean it's not worth doing. So I encourage you, even if it's a little bit, It's totally worth it. And you're going to find as time goes on, you'll move more and more and more into it and experience more and more reward and joy from it and abundance. The more aligned you are, because the true you is abundant, the authentic you is abundant. So the more you're aligned with yourself, the more you're going to experience that abundance, because that's who you really are. So this is the journey, this is the process, and just go for it. Don't hold back. Make that decision. Decide that you're doing it. All right, everyone, much love to you. Thank you for being here today. I hope you got some nuggets out of this and that you go back and listen to it if you need to and really get clear and zoned in on your purpose and go for it. Go for it. Do it. Do what you love. Come on. You can do it. I believe in you. Okay. Love you guys. Bye, everybody. I hope you really enjoyed that video and were able to take away some nuggets that are helping you on your journey. I am deeply committed to my mission to raise the vibration of the world one person at a time. Of course, that starts with me and my own journey and then extends through the teaching and energy and healing work that I do on a day-to-day basis. I see really two angles to come at this journey of evolution for us to raise our vibration so that we can experience abundance and freedom and joy, those loving relationships, those healthy bodies, all those things that you're searching for. It actually is a journey that happens from within. And on the one angle, we come at this from understanding, gaining wisdom, beginning to discover ourselves and who we really are. How does the cosmos work? What is the soul's journey? This is why I teach on YouTube and give videos on my social media in order to gain understanding and wisdom and awareness so that we can logically move ourselves forward. The other angle to come at this is through inner work, through healing, through what has been coined as shadow work. This is why I do energy work and I use things like the emotions code, like bioresonance, do subconscious reprogramming, brain entrainment, all these beautiful and wonderful things in order to do work inwardly to shift our vibration. When I say shift our vibration, you naturally at spirit soul level vibrate at a very high level with perfect abundance and freedom and joy and all those things. But what happens though through life experiences, we tend to hold on to things like limiting beliefs, traumas, fears, doubts, anxiety, stress, all this kind of stuff that's not you. So our journey of raising our vibration is actually a journey of letting go of that which is not us. And so that is the other angle that I utilize in order to help people raise their vibration into these places that feel really, really good. What happens over YouTube though, or over these videos, is that there can be a disconnect. You can't necessarily talk to me or ask your questions. And so you sometimes feel like you're alone. So I'm really excited to announce that I have a membership where we can meet once a week and you're able to ask me questions as well as work with other people that are like-minded and on this journey together of raising our vibration, of manifesting lives that are beautiful and wonderful, that we're so happy and excited to be alive, living our passions and doing the things that bring us a lot of joy. On those calls, I will actually work with you individually as well. For people who are wanting help, I can release negative trapped emotions right there in person. For those who would like that done, I can use my bioresonance technology in order to read your frequency right then and there and actually send you frequency that will help bring more balance for you as well. And you can also, again, ask your questions, and I share even more tips and tricks than I have available currently on YouTube on how to heal the shadow on the day-to-day when you're on your own and I'm not there with you. What are these things and practices that you can do that ultimately raise your vibration? As we shift and release that which is not us, all the money and the relationships and the love and the health, it just is a byproduct of that. It's a symbol of the shift that's happening within yourself. So if this membership is something that sounds exciting to you, you want to connect with other like-minded people, you want to connect with me and grow in community together, there is a link in the description where you're able to get more information on that and sign up, and I would love to see you there.